Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. And success! I found someone else who was willing to talk to me, who is the rather lovely actor Johnny Briseño, um, who I am now just going to hand over to him and ask him to give a very brief introduction of himself to you.
Oh, goodness. What's up, everybody? What's up, Jen? I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I love Kansas City. I'm a huge Kansas City fan. I've been acting since I was 14, so I've been acting, oh gosh, going on like 14 years now. Uh, Half my life. That's crazy. I love it. I've been out in Los Angeles for 5 years. I've been doing verticals for about a year and a half now. But that's kind of about it. That's like all I entail.
Okay, so I
Really?
need to know. No, there's more to you, Johnny. Don't worry, we'll find this. So, before 14, kind of what were your main hobbies or loves, things that you did?
Sports. We were kind of just talking about sports. I did a lot of sports. Swam, played baseball, football, volleyball, wrestling. And at the time, I grew up on a cul-de-sac, and so I was really blessed to be able to be in this area that in that cul-de-sac there were a bunch of other kids around my age too. And so like all we did was play outside. And I loved it so much, but also played a bunch of video games, watched a bunch of movies, and that's kind of all I did, really. It was just run around the neighborhood, play games.
Sounds amazing. So you see, I obviously have watched High School Musical and believe it is fact. So in my head, you're a sports kid, but then you
I had
obviously
to
start
decide.
acting. Was there a big dramatic moment and a meet cute with Vanessa Hudgens? How did that
There
happen?
Oh, unfortunately, no meet cute with Vanessa Hudgens. However, High School Musical was very pivotal in my decision of like, this is what I want to do. Because that came out in what, like 2006, 2007, something? I don't even fully remember. But like, I'd always wanted to do it. I'd known I'd always wanted to do it. And I remember sitting down on my little like CRTV with a VHS player in it and watching High School Musical that night by myself and dancing to the kitchen in the first commercial break, being like, I love this. I love this more than I've loved anything else. And that like definitely kind of sparked looking into like figuring out if this is a thing that I could do or like spending my time thinking about it, which is so funny.
So what was the first acting role that you did then? Because I think you said age 14.
I was in A Christmas Story, the play version of A Christmas Story in my high school. Um, my theater teacher was amazing. He split up a couple different parts into multiple characters so that all of these kids auditioning could have lines in the play. And
Teacher.
he was amazing. He's fantastic. Um and he got to do that and I was so excited. Well, actually, I was excited when we were doing it. I don't even remember my character's name, but I remember the cast list came out. It was the first thing it was the second thing I'd ever auditioned for, the first thing I ever got cast in. And I started crying because I was so upset because I was like, look how unimportant I am. I'm below elf number 2. And I was so bummed, which is so silly looking back on it. But it was life-changing. Like I had the time of my life on that set and it was so, so fun.
So that happens. Obviously, High School Musical is pivotal. When you left school, were you straight into performing art type of education on career, or were you looking at other things as well?
Yeah, so I went to a 4-year long conservatory program just across the state in St. Louis, Missouri. And got my BFA there for 4 and yeah, it took 4 years, got my BFA in acting, um, and it was so great because I remember in high school I heard that there were colleges I could go to where I only did acting. I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I wanna do that. I don't have to do math, I don't have to do science, like, I don't have to do any of that stuff. Fantastic, let's do that." And was lucky enough to be able to get accepted into one of those programs, and it was a solid program at the time too, and man, it was a blast. That's what like, when I got there my freshman year was the first time I was like, "Oh, I don't know anything about acting. I don't really know anything about what it is that I'm doing up here." And I learned so, so much that I don't use all the time now, but is such a solid foundation of an understanding of how to move, which is great.
Were you ever interested in other things? You know, like you mentioned how to move. Like, was dance ever there, music or singing, or was it acting's where the real passion
Definitely
was?
acting, 100% acting. I sing and I did musicals a lot, and I miss them, and I'll still sing in my car, and I've got my musical playlist that I'll throw on when I'm down, I just wanna jam. Um, but it was always acting. For sure was always acting. Definitely not dancing. Dancing was never a thought in my mind. I've done it enough in high school that I knew this was not for me.
Hey, so okay, I'm just doing like a career life thing. So
Love it.
graduate,
Mhm.
qualifications.
Graduate,
You're
yeah, I
like,
get
yay! Then what happens? Because I
well,
imagine
it
that's
was
a bit of like a
yeah,
need to
and
focus his career now.
it's what the crazy thing was though is that I graduated in 2020.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We hit spring break your senior year, you do showcase, and so you go to New York and you perform. We have a closed showcase and an open showcase. Closed showcase is one-on-one, I guess, like, 1-on-6, whatever. You go into a room with 6 different casting directors and managers, and you have 2 pieces, a couple different pieces that you perform for them, and they'll give you notes, and then you move on. And then the next day is, open showcase, where you do different scenes and different pieces, and it's a whole show, and you can invite anybody can come and see it. That was closed showcase was on a Monday in New York. Did closed showcase. Open showcase was Tuesday, did that. Wednesday, I got a call back for Hamilton. Wednesday, I got a bunch of manager meetings and agent meetings. And then Wednesday night, Broadway shut down, the NBA shut down, like the entire world stopped. Like COVID fully hit. I remember walking out that night and Times Square was completely empty. Nobody was on the street. It was a ghost town. It was the most like surreal thing that I'd ever experienced. And then all of that momentum, I mean, this happened for so many people. Like this is not obviously not a solo experience, but in my experience, I'd like all that momentum had been building up since I was 14. And for the past like 8, 9 years, I was just like acting, honing my skills in, getting I was booking, commercials and, like, things were moving and I just got my first, um, equity contract for a play that I was gonna be the lead in that summer and, like, things were moving and then just everything disappeared and it just all went away. And then we're shut down, and then we're at COVID. And, we did a virtual showcase for LA, and thank the Lord, I'm blessed that I ended up getting signed through a virtual showcase to Los Angeles, and I saved all of my stimulus and unemployment checks and was like, "Okay, I guess LA is the place that I'm gonna go," and moved here in October of 2020, got here. A week after I got here, the second wave of shutdowns came and everything disappeared again, and I that was just the craziest first year here because I was just, like, locked away in my room, trying to figure out how to deal with it all. I got, like, super depressed that year and just, like, didn't really take care of myself and didn't go out, didn't meet a whole lot of people, and was just, like, locked up, and it wasn't until about a year and a half later I joined an acting class here that I started meeting more people, moving, planting my roots a little bit, and then it wasn't until, like, after the 4th year here that the ball was rolling again and things were moving. And it's interesting though, because I never really had a question of like, how am I gonna make this work and what am I gonna do? I think it's always just been an understanding that this is what I'm doing. So let's just go do it.
I mean, I know everyone's got their own COVID stories, and I'm not
Yeah.
lessening any, but those two are particularly brutal just for timing. I mean, you had a callback for Hamilton, and
And
then and
gone.
again, and then you're hit again, and that you get there, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to shut down again." Yeah, I mean
And
that
then
that is particularly brutal.
yeah, it's crazy because then on top of that, again, like then all the other actors experience the same thing. Here, COVID hits and then slowly starts to open up and then the strikes hit and then everything goes away again and slowly things come back and then the fires hit. And that's a huge shift again. Like the industry's just been hit with like thing after thing after thing after thing. And it's forced us, I mean, it's just forced us to shift. And I think all of those things have led to the explosion of verticals being so successful.
You just painted a visual for me that I felt was quite vertical of basically the industry as a person getting repeatedly slapped in a vertical. Like, it's
Yes,
COVID.
and over and over, and then thrown into a pool.
Yeah. Yes, I don't. No, do not worry. I want to ask you about the swimming pool because that is a question. Just don't worry if you thought I wasn't covering that. Okay, so I think we've just done a brilliant job, haven't we? Have led into verticals.
Very
So, what
nice.
was the first vertical
The
that you were
first
in,
vertical
and what was your understanding? What did you know about it? Yeah, talk us through it.
I had an idea of somewhat of an idea of what it was. Um, it was the first one I did was called um, "Oops, I accidentally slept with my billionaire ex-husband." It was real short, and I was the assistant to the CEO, and I think I was on for like 3 days and just had a couple lines. Had super long hair at the time. Uh, Met Ali on that one, and he was so great, and I didn't really know what to expect. I think when I had first heard about them, ego comes into play, and it's like, "Oh, I don't know if this is a thing that I wanna be doing," which is so funny thinking back on, because now I don't wanna do anything el just kidding, I do wanna do so many other things, but I love doing these. Um, but what was so great is that, like, I've gone to school for it, I got my BFA in acting, and I've acted for years and years and years, and I've done commercials, but I hadn't, like, really been on set. And those first few days on a vertical set were really like the first days I'd been on set for almost anything. And I learned so much sitting back to figure out where my 2 is and where B cam is and what the lingo is on set, what the hierarchy is on set. And that I think was one of the most beneficial things to me is the ability to just like be on screen, fail, learn, try things, and just like keep going. And I had a blast. It was so fun, but I was so nervous because 'cause I'd, like, never really done anything like that before. And I, again, was super blessed that Yi, who was the casting director on that one, ended up casting me in, um,
Turn of the Lost Heiress.
Return of the Lost Heiress. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the second one that I did.
So I
Yeah.
just have to ask you. Obviously, it's a important role within verticals, the billionaire CEO assistant. Did you have like an iPad or a notebook with which you walked around a lot and made things happen?
I just always had papers. I just always had papers in my hand. I always had something to give him. Consistently, I had a thing to be like, "Hey, sign this," or look at the sneaky thing I just uncovered about the woman that you're actually seeing." Um, yeah, it was always something to hand off.
So I want to talk quite a bit about Return of the Lost Heiress because I
Yeah.
think that was probably one of the first of that kind of storyline that's actually now obviously been remade because we know
Mhm.
what happens in verticals. It's like books, something does well, so we have
Let's
variations on
let's
it.
go, let's go, let's go.
Okay, first of all, why are these rich families so careless and keep losing children?
I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you. I guess maybe the fact that they have so much money, they can just buy a new thing, they just don't put as much importance on it. I don't know. It's
So it's like
crazy.
they're always losing. It seems quite um so obviously it's the kind of, well, I mean, we know it now as a bit of a classic story of basically she gets separated from the family, comes back into the lives, and you are I mean, you actually get quite an arc, don't you, with your
Yes. Yeah, I
character
do.
because you start off as Luke as very much against her, bully,
Mhm.
pretty rotten, a rotter, as we would say in the UK, a real rotter.
I love that.
But then you get the kind of the realization halfway through of, oh my goodness, and then the rest of it is you, I guess, basically trying to atone, trying to win her back, trying to say we're
Mhm.
so sorry. Um, I'm guessing that was an appeal that you got to do all of
Yeah.
that within one character.
Yes, that is in so many of the, um 'cause they love me as the villain. I play the villain so much. But what I'm really grateful for is, like, in this one, most of the time, I have that arc, and that is, I think, the most I'm not always the biggest fan of what of the things I have to do as a villain, but, like, they are the most dynamic. Like, I get to really have to rationalize why it is I'm acting this way and, like, where this is coming from because I think as actors, we have to And I think, like, we have to have empathy. We have to have empathy in, in everything in our everyday lives for the world and specifically for our characters, what we're doing. And I think when you're playing somebody who, on the surface, isn't that great of a dude, you have to kind of sit back and be like, okay, well, like, why? Like, what brought him to this point to act like this? And there has to be some form of good, otherwise he's not gonna have that recognition, and he's not gonna want to change. So typically there's always a bit of pain and hurt, and like that's kind of where all this is coming from. And I think that is the most fun. That's just the most fun, is to sometimes not to predetermine what's gonna happen, but create like a puzzle and really piece together this fully fledged human who has memories and experiences, and like things happen to him that in his mind is justification as to why he does what he does. And those are definitely like that's where I have the most fun with it, for sure.
Do you remember kind of what you worked out for Luke?
Of where that pain is, it is fully the loss of his sister. And I think that there is like an element of jealousy in other, like, happy families, other loving families, because there is this pain and loss that he has gone through and he's been experiencing for a majority of his life. And I don't think he really has the tools to channel that healthily. And, like, he definitely, I mean, if you look at his family too, like, his grandmother's reaction to the death of her son was to kick out a 5-year-old child from their life. Like, clearly his family doesn't have the best coping skills. And so if you're learning from the trickle down, he doesn't have great models either of like how to deal with this. And so I think he's just continually been at a loss and sad. Yeah.
I think that, 'cause I think the other thing they do quite well is there's just that kind of rich person slight
Entitlement.
lairiness, which you get with some of your outfits. I want to ask you about the pineapple glasses.
This pineapple glasses.
What was the conversation from, yeah, he's kind of got like a beach shirt on and his shorts, to like what he needs is pineapple glasses.
I totally forgot about the pineapple glasses. It's so funny because it was one of those things that, like, sometimes on these sets, a question is posed, and the question is like, "What if we did this?" And it was very much one of those things of Ruth, I believe, was her crossover, and she whipped out these glasses. She's like, "What if he wore these?" And I was like, "Yeah, yes, yes, he has to wear these. There's no reason." And I think the fact that he's wearing them and he's being so unserious in, like, one of the meanest moments that he has, I think it's just really funny. Like, I think, maybe, I don't know if it, like, makes it less harmful because I don't think it does, but he's just so unserious. Like, I think it's so funny that because
Well,
I
I
don't think he
took it
did
a
know
bit
it.
as a kind of performing for the crowd thing.
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. He knows
And
that they're
then
not.
actually we do know that, yeah, people, that's when people go too far, which is obviously what he's about to do. He's going to,
Yes.
so obviously, thankfully, doesn't do which is to kick into the pool.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously we get a slight comeuppance. Now, I had to rewatch this. Now, normally people get pushed into vertical pools. You just fell in.
I just fall.
Put your foot in a hole and fall in. And I kind of felt oddly bad for you.
I love that. I really do love that he just falls because I think this is a little bit of me. Oh no. I think falling is really funny. Like, I think when people fall and you realize that they're safe and nobody's hurt and everything's fine, I think falling is really funny. I think that's just a really funny thing. But I also think it's very embarrassing. I think for me, because I don't know, it feels like something so simple. So I don't know. It's okay if you fall, but I think the fact that like he falls after trying to be so big and so mean, and it's just like the smallest thing to really like put his ego in check and knock him down, which then infuriates him even more. You're right. It's so funny.
And actually, I think you're a bit of a trailblazer because I think it was one of the earlier swimming pool stunts. And there's a nice twist in this because normally what happens, it's ladies go in.
Yeah, yeah.
Generally, they can't swim, and then our hero has to do an epic dive in.
Right.
This is a nice twist because actually Lana has to go in and pull
Yeah.
you out because no one else is doing anything. So I quite like that you've got that gender twist in a really early one. So I would
Yeah.
say congratulations. It's a memorable swimming pool.
Oh, thank you so much.
But then obviously there's a thing with water because it is that one where you have a long scene in the rain. Is that one?
Y-
Was, was
I
that the other one?
Oh no! If I'm being so honest, I've done like 3 long scenes in the rain.
Okay. Well, what is it? I mean, it does look really good on screen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I get there's the whole, it's representing the difficultness, and I think in this one it's, this is how she felt, and I'm trying to get in, and
yeah. There's
but practically, how is it filming that? Because that looks complex.
So the most recent rain one was in Mama Sing Me a Lullaby, and that's the one that's fresh in my mind. So that's the one I'll just go off of. That one specifically, it was like 9 p.m. at night, and in LA it can get a little chilly. And this was in like April, so it wasn't warming up yet. And chilly's probably like 60 degrees. But they have a hose with a bunch of holes. The other sets do it differently, but this is what we did on this one. And then they'll just turn it on and they'll like spritz the window a little bit so that it's already there. And then there's another hose from the side just kind of like coming in from the top, just drenching me in water, screaming to be let in. And then I'm sorry.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you because that is suffering for the art.
Appreciate it.
Obviously, was that the one that where you started sort of getting a reaction then? Because Return of the Lost Heiress did really well. Was that when, maybe people started finding you on Instagram, you started getting a sense there's a lot of people watching these?
Yes, it definitely was. That is still the largest one that I've led. The one that I've led that's gotten the most views and been seen the most, and that's the one I'll still get people messaging me about. But that was the first time I was like, whoa, this is very strange. I have people from Kenya in my DMs being like, I loved the show. And I was like, that's so absurd. But that's when I mean, I don't have, comparatively an insane amount of followers, but like definitely that's when people started following me more and more and more. And kind of like saw the reach of these and the legitimacy of these, and also like again going back to the learning of it all. It's like such a fun playground because on that one, I'm probably not skipping ahead, but like that one, spoiler alert, my grandma dies. And that day was such a learning experience because it's like, okay, cool. We're shooting like 14, 15, 18 pages a day, which is crazy on these 12-hour days, as I'm sure you've heard about. And it's like, okay, great. I don't have a whole lot of time. How can I get myself to this state of loss and really like feel it and be genuine with it? And how as an actor do I get myself to that? Because I know how to do it in a play when I have hours of prep time and I'm going and I'm like living as the character nonstop for the duration of that play. But I was just eating fruit snacks at Crafty's. Like, how do I now come back and get in this? Um, and so and I found a tool that I still use. I just use on my last project. And yeah, it just goes back to the learning experience, and I'm just incredibly grateful for it. But yeah, Return of the Lost Heiress definitely was the one that I was like, oh, I could do this.
I also think we don't reveal what the tool is, but we just mysteriously call it Briseño method.
I love
there
it.
will be a book. Okay, just
Later down the road, we'll have a whole book about it.
Yeah. Okay, so just watch space.
Yeah.
And actually, that's really interesting because you're talking about obviously the speed and trying to get yourself. And I just think it's really interesting. Someone who's obviously got all the training that you have. We're all verticals because obviously you were in the Alpha's Cursed Mute Bride.
Yeah.
And that's quite a unique world to go in, isn't it? Because it's got all these rules, all this language that is, I think it comes from the books, but it's very vertical. It's not like, oh, I'm doing American Werewolf in London. It's
Sure.
very different.
Yeah.
How does someone with like your, I would say, grounding
Yeah.
approach that? Like, how do you bridge that gap?
It's so funny. This is gonna sound so absurd, and I'm so fully aware of it. And so far, everybody I say it to has never backed me on it. So it's totally fine. But I truly believe it that I liken verticals in a sense, stay with me, to Shakespeare. And I do that because in Shakespeare, you have these highs and the lows. You have in Measure for Measure, Claudio being like, you know what, I'm actually really cool with dying. And his sister being like, oh, okay, great, because like I could save you, but actually like I'd have to sleep with Angelo. I don't want to do that. And he's like, oh, actually, psych, I'm terrified. I'm so scared. Do all these things. Like it's like this huge tonal shift really quickly. Similarly, the dialogue is so different. I don't speak in the way that Shakespearean text is written. I don't work in my day-to-day in that rhythm, and I also don't work in my day-to-day calling other people alphas and accepting the term beta. That just doesn't really exist. And so it's this thing of like, oh, this is gonna be so pretentious. Stanislavski has this method of the magic if, of not doing substitution, not pulling a real thing from your life to place onto it, which can be so beneficial and can really work. But the magic if is just using your imagination and just like really believing the circumstances that you're in, and finding a way, as silly as this dialogue is, to like really just give into it and really be like, no, these are the stakes. This is my alpha. I love him and he's my boy and I want the best for him. And as absurd as all this language and these situations are, so much of it at its core is just like very natural human things of like supporting a loved one and like questioning and following orders and maybe not wanting to, or like having loyalty to someone or something. Like at its base, there's always a thing that you can understand and connect with. And if that is what you begin with and then you build around it, eventually you can ask your alpha not to shift because his curse is going to get worse. So
I
yeah.
actually am totally with you. Okay. So
Yeah.
you did not lose me at all. Because one, I would say, first of all, I think that's what makes them work, when people like yourself are like, I'm just going for it. And then we go with it and it becomes more real because
Yeah.
you believe it, so we believe it.
Exactly.
I love that you said Shakespeare, because I think that as well. Okay. So my theory is Shakespeare was obviously, it's heightened, as you said, there's obviously so much drama and, the writing, but it's heightened characters, it's heightened emotions. There is pretty much a lot of pace. I mean, we're not short of death and backstabbing and, pretty grim stuff. Hello, Coriolanus. I mean, verticals are tame, really, aren't they? They've got nothing.
Right, yes.
Try harder. Come on, people.
You want to compare Titus Andronicus to,
Exactly.
I don't know, whatever 4 verticals just came out today?
So, yeah. But it was kind of entertainment for the people and the masses at the time that wasn't particularly recognised by critics. I would also compare it, I don't know how well he's known in America, but Charles Dickens.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
Because again, kind of generally the main characters in like verticals are the slightly more, I guess, staid ones that drive the story forward. And you've got loads and loads of extreme characters round the outside who kind of heighten it. And again, wasn't hugely critically successful, but very popular. Okay, so I think I've just but I think there's something there.
Love
It
it.
is
Yes, there is.
responding and giving people a medium that is fundamentally about just humans and how humans interact in a heightened way.
Exactly. In emotions, and maybe not situations that the viewer can necessarily connect with, but like the yearning that somebody can understand, or the fear or the sadness that somebody can understand. And it's like doing all these verticals are just a microcosm for everything else that's going on. Like you go and watch a Marvel movie. It's like, okay, cool. How can you sit here and be like, oh, the answer is to move the world from this part of the universe to the other part of the universe? It's like, okay, cool. That's also absurd. That's also crazy. But I believe it. And millions of dollars are being poured into it. So it's all the same, really. I think. I think it's all the same. It's just
I mean, we all went with the blip, didn't we? We all accepted the blip. So
we accepted it. We went with it. And for a while it was a little confusing, and maybe there's some plot holes still, but I still love it.
And right, this is where, if I was allowed to put on camera, I would bring in my small team, because she would now do an hour on all the plot holes about the play. Just imagine that's happened. She's now left the room.
I would sit and listen for so
Joy. I want to talk to you about Mama Sing Me a Lullaby.
yeah.
Again, I think you said they tend to like you for you're not the loveliest chap in this.
Not at all.
But you get a good ending.
Yeah. Yes.
You get a really good ending.
Yeah.
And if you're playing someone who is that, I guess ideally you either want the redemptive arc, or you want a really memorable.
What?
Yeah, it's that. Sorry, everyone, we're just going to ruin it, but it's very good. It's well done. Yeah. How was it kind of getting to, and have you died on the screen before?
No, that was the first time that I had died. And fortunately it was so much better when the camera wasn't on me. I remember we did my coverage first and I was like, oh, I didn't really like that. And then we did Julie's coverage, my mom. And that's when it like really dropped in. I was like, damn it, that was the one. That was so much better. But it was crazy. It was, again, like trying to find myself in this circumstance and believing it and really feeling that in my body. I've never died, so I don't really know what it is. But it is interesting when you're sitting there to like begin to question it and like really sit and, try to take in your mom and your brother, the reality of what it is you're doing, and kind of like the question and the fear that comes with it, and maybe even be surprised by the comfort and um it's wild. I think a lot of it is like teeing something up and like um committing to a thing and being open to whatever is like being presented and being like, oh, whoa, that one was like really scary, or that one was like really cool. um I don't know if I answered your question at all,
No, you
but
did. And also, I really liked it because I guess there's that how do you show, and there's just it just shows your hand and kind of the hand drops. And I just thought that's quite an
yeah,
interesting type of way of doing it, and we know what's happened. And I
yeah,
guess in a way, yeah, I just thought I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is, obviously sometimes verticals it can be quite romance led, but actually some of the ones you've been in are kind of more about family revenge dynamics, which means
yeah,
that you've worked with mums, as you
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah,
Um, which I'm as someone over a certain age, it is nice seeing actresses
get
getting
that
a
one.
different role and something to get their
Yeah,
teeth into.
yeah.
How is it basically? Yeah, talk about your mums and the amazing actresses and actors throughout verticals that you must have got to work with.
My goodness. Well, worked with Eli, in the first one, and she is phenomenal. She's incredible. She's just a wonderful person with a beautiful story. I don't know if you've talked to her, um, but oh, dude, she has lived a life, and she is very open with everything she's done. I'm not going to speak on it. It's not mine, but like she she's incredible, and it was so amazing to sit and talk with her and learn from her, and also just hang out with her because she's so fun. Julie was so funny, my mom in this one, and she like works at the Ren Fair, and she plays the mandolin in a Renaissance Fair band, and she's so funny. She reminds me so much of my best friend's mom, so that was really nice to be on set with. Um, but it's great. I mean, it's phenomenal because it's nice to have, like living out here, you're away from family, and it's nice to play pretend a little bit and like have a motherly figure and like have some of that. Um, and still be able to experience some of that, and it's so great. I love being a part of the family ones. I'm very grateful that like for some reason that is where I have found my way in this and in the
So my next question, that was me trying to be a bit deep. We're going to go a bit shallow now, okay? Um, so anyone who watched you in Return of the Lost Heiress, you had long hair.
yes.
Then the hair gets shorter, and
Mhm.
it looks even shorter today on here.
I did actually just get a cut.
Do you? Yeah, I guess just what's the process? Because presumably there's kind of a look that casting people. Basically, how in control of your own hair are you? And how much is actually, this is a look that I know casting people are looking for?
So I used to worry about that all the time. In college, there was a time I really wanted to like dye my hair silver. And I was like, no, I can't, because of casting. And honestly, that's very true for theater. But over the past few years, I've kind of hit this point where I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like the same, I've decided and kind of just accepted like the same thing that is gonna be a reason that I'm not gonna get cast for a project is gonna be the same thing, the same reason for me to get cast in a different project. Every casting director, every project is looking for a different thing, and I can't be everything. And oh my goodness, can you hear that? Can you hear that helicopter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's literally right above my apartment. I'm so sorry about that. But I can't please it. I can't please everybody. So I kind of hit this point. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna look the way that I want to look and be truthful to how it is that I'm gonna be presenting myself and trust that like the roles that I receive are the ones that I'm supposed to be receiving. And if I'm not getting cast because of the length of my hair, then that project wasn't mine.
It's
And
really good
just be okay
advice,
with
because
that.
I could totally understand how you could get trapped into overthinking it.
Yeah, it's because like it's funny you said this is shallow, but this is actually like such a like a heady thing, and I think about all the time. Like in order to me, in order to be successful, I have to be honest. I have to be honest to myself, and I can't like when I'm playing into in the idea of an unknown desire to somebody who's faceless and that I'm just emailing. And I'm giving up my power, like my own autonomy of self to them, to please them, to try and match something that I think they might want that I don't even know, then I've lost. Like I'm not I'm just not doing it right then. And to me if I can just be honest to myself and be like this is what I have to offer and if we align then we align amazing. If we don't then we don't and maybe there's something else down the road. And it 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 it's an attempt to cuz I mean in acting like it's difficult. It's so much of it is so much of your self-worth can be wrapped up in successes and like gigs that you get and opportunities that you're given. But when that's the case, then your happiness is in the hands of somebody else telling you that you can be happy or that you can't be happy.
Yeah.
And I did that a lot,
Uh,
and it doesn't serve me, and I just
um,
can't keep doing it. So
so
yeah,
yeah, that's really good advice. Yes, because we can't control other people's actions.
no,
Yeah.
just yourself. Yes.
Upcoming projects. Because I don't know if people know what happened with this interview is I've been talking to JC Ann, and who we love, JC Ann, and we arranged
Phenomenal.
YouTube. And then she mentioned that she had just finished, she'd wrapped a project that you were
Yeah.
on, and you'd said hi, and I said hi back, and we were like, oh, we should do YouTube. So yeah, is there anything you can share about that project, even if it's just do you go in a pool? Do you get wet? Are you good or bad? Or is it
I
best that we don't know?
so I do not go into a pool. I had a lot of FOMO that I didn't get to go in a pool because there is pool action, and I feel very left out as the actor because it looked so fun. I just had to sit back and watch. Um, yeah, he's still mean. I'm still mean, but I think I hope it all comes across. It's a two brothers one because those are pretty popular right now. Um, Travis, who plays my brother, is so funny and he's so fun and he's so wonderful, and the two of us like really bonded on this project, and like we just like became brothers and we had bits the whole time and it's really funny and it was one of the most fun. It was like such a fun set, one of the best I've been on, and I'm really hoping that like that enjoyment, and although some of the things I do aren't that cool, I'm really hoping that that fun that we had on set really shines through, because there are moments like he's not always Elliot, my character, he's not always that way throughout the script. Like when he's with Megan, JC, and Gavin, Travis, these are all just random names. Um, he's a little bit more himself and fun and open and silly. And I think like it's not a comedy, but it's pretty funny. Like it is really funny, and we leaned into it a little bit. And I just like really hope that those parts shine through.
Okay, now this is so cool. You have just like totally lit up. Like I wish you could see how much you've lit up. I'm feeling you're longing to do a comedy.
Gosh, so bad, so bad. I I love comedies. I love comedy so much, and we've talked so much about the truth and the honesty of how to like ground yourself within these verticals. However, I think they are so silly, and I just want to be able to like not outright knowingly comment on how silly it is, but just like lean into the absurdity more and more. And so many of these sets, I get the note to not do the funny option. Like I know I'm sure you know Danny Farber, and he's phenomenal. And I've been lucky enough to be able to work with him, and I've gotten the note from him. Who he's such a funny dude, but so often he'll be like, Johnny, it's don't do the funny take, don't do the funny take. I'm like, why? It's
I
so
love the
funny.
funny take. Do it for Jen. I want the
We
funny part.
just love it.
Yeah. Oh,
So I hope.
I think the ones I've really enjoyed, where I think, yes, sometimes it just gives it a whole another dimension, is like when whoever's playing the villain is allowed to take it slightly to the buffoon level, but it's never
Yes.
too much.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it
yeah.
just softens it, and actually it just makes the whole thing hilarious. It's really, really
Yeah,
funny.
a little more ingestible.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay. Are there any other upcoming projects that you can share with us, and then we'll talk on bigger things again?
Let's see. No verticals outright. I'm blessed to be booked to the end of this month, so I've gotten, some emails, but I can't go for it. I feel really lucky. I've been going to New York a lot for verticals, and those have been like calling a little bit. Excuse me. Most likely, there's going to be something that I'll film in the next month, but this month, in the non-vertical world, I was the lead of a movie back in January. Um, I'm so excited about it, and it's nearing completion. Um, I'm doing ADR for it later this week or this upcoming week, and the score is finished. It's picture locked. They've finished coloring it, and once I do ADR, then they're gonna finish sound mixing, and then the movie's done, and it's a full movie, which is crazy.
What's it
Um,
called?
it's called Most Likely, um, like the high school superlatives. It's we're gonna be doing the whole festival circuit here at the end of the year and the beginning of next year, and then praying that at some point hoping that it does well in the festivals so that it gets picked up for distribution and then the people can see it.
That is very cool, and like a whole lot of travel and meeting people and talking film to look forward to. So
Yeah,
just, oh, congratulations. That's so
thank you so
awesome.
much. I'm really excited.
Kind of going off that, obviously I can see that you love the acting, but is there any interest in, writing, directing, producing? Is that
Yeah.
something that's brewing for you?
Yeah, I write a lot. I write a lot of poetry more than anything. I love poetry. Um, and so I write every day, a lot of that stuff. And not so much in like the film world as much with my writing. Um, but I do have plans of a poetry book and like trying to do all that kind of stuff. I'm a video editor, so that's like a side gig that I'll do. So I edit people's short films. I edit for this Pokemon YouTube channel right now, which is so fun. I love it. I love it.
Do
That's a
you do
blast.
all the cool effects and put stuff in?
Oh, oh yeah.
I need
Oh
to
yeah.
you because I have none of these skills. Oh,
I'll have to.
you have so much respect for me now.
You have I respect you so, Jen. That's crazy. Come on. You have so many skills and you do so much. Like it is so impressive. It's so cool the things you're able to turn out. Like this entire thing that you have built. I DM'd you a little bit about it, but like it's incredible and it is so cool to see, and it's so cool to be on set and everybody like, just so you know, like we talk about you and we know you, and like we're so aware of you, and it's like it's so cool. I'll literally be at like these like little vertical parties, and like we will talk about you. Like it's so exciting to see it. It's awesome.
Okay, and then if you can teach me some editing skills, then I'm
Yes, I
really
got
going to
you.
up level,
We'll
because that's
trade.
what I want. I want like the with the cut.
It's
I think I
listen.
watched one video which was hilarious because it was showing different ways that you could go between scenes.
Hmm.
So he basically went through, you could do all this, but then he was like, I don't think you should actually use these. Do not make the business mistake of them putting in every single, but look, I know
Yeah.
this button. I was like, don't
Yes.
do it, people.
So sometimes it's difficult like that because I'm doing with the Pokemon channel. I do their social media short form content, and I do their YouTube long form content, and it's a little difficult because I'm like, oh, dude, I just used that sound effect like 30 seconds ago. I got to make sure I switch it up and not just overuse over and over and over again. But it's so fun. I love editing. That's very much where I live. I'm writing a feature right now, as so many people are writing everything, and that's been really great. But I think the biggest thing that I'm doing, because the other thing is like I don't know. We spoke a little bit about truth of self, and like specifically with image, and like trusting that that's enough. But right now, I think my biggest thing is finding my own creative outlet that isn't, again, waiting for a yes and be told that I can do these things. So I've got this little digital camera, and each day I just go around and I just film random B-roll things that I think are really beautiful. And I've been just like recording myself speaking some of the poetry that I've written, and then just edit together these. I don't even know what they are. I don't even know what these videos are, but it's just
Just for the joy of creating for yourself.
yeah, yeah, very much
Yeah.
so. And they're on they're I put them on my Instagram, and it's really nice to like. I think the coolest thing is I've had a couple people DM me like, "Hey, I made this thing, and like that poem that you wrote like really inspired me to be able to go and do this," and the immediacy of being like, I love like feeding back into this like river of creativity that everybody gets to access, and it's so nice.
Good answer. And I think that's a really good point as well, because my husband was telling me off this morning, because he's like, you always turn your hobby into a job, which is kind
Yeah.
of, your passion. He's like, which is kind of the dream, but it isn't. And it's like, yeah, I am making a conscious effort to have one or two things that are nothing to do with anything to do with vertical, that are just, there
Yeah.
is no end goal beyond, as you said, with that, doing it for the sake of just doing that thing. So,
Yeah. Have you found any of what those are?
yeah, they're not very cool. So brace yourself, internet jigsaws. Jigsaws are good. And colouring in's good. And I mean, it's a cliche, but just going for a walk is
Yeah.
good.
I love it. I'm super blessed to be able to have this Griffith Observatory. I can walk to it from my apartment, which is great. But I listen, jigsaw puzzles are fantastic. I have a Van Gogh one that's 1,000 pieces that frustrating. I have not been able to finish it. Like it's so difficult. But I think those are really cool. I've been learning card tricks in my spare time. I've been doing magic trick with cards.
No, but see, that's cool. And also that's an icebreaker, isn't it?
It
If it's a
is.
really bad party, you can then break it with like people, pack of
No,
cards.
100. I listen. I went out last night, and originally I was going out with a couple friends. It was just gonna be me and two friends, and then it turned into, hey, we're actually meeting up with some other people, and then it was me with like 20 people that I didn't know, and I was like, okay, okay, okay. And it feels really nerdy, but I was like, but I have a deck of cards with me, so at some point in the night we can just like play cards, and we can. I can show you my magic tricks.
It's not, do you know what, that's actually incredibly useful advice for people. Because
It's
it
nice.
is.
It is an
It's
icebreaker.
like it was a thing that stopped it being quite so anxious. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and like, and it's also it's just so fun, and it gets people involved and talking, and then it moves to the next thing. I literally was thinking about this the other day. I was like, all right, yeah, it's crazy.
It's the healthier version of alcohol.
Is it
Well, yeah,
magic?
because if you think about it, alcohol is fun and gets people talking.
Hmm.
This is like the non-alcoholic version. Card tricks are also fun and get people talking, but
I
without
love
the
that.
fun.
That's so funny. So I gave up. I gave up drinking. I'm 5 months without alcohol, and it's really funny to think that I exchanged alcohol for card tricks.
It's a good, healthy alternative. It's fine.
It is. Do you drink? No, no, no. I'm fine. I got my deck of cards.
um, Final questions, because
Yeah.
obviously you're someone who loves film, TV, theatre. What are your recommendations? And I'm going to ask you to cover a few things. So, kind of try and see this on stage at some point. One or two great movies, one or two great TV shows, and I'm really going for it. And then any actors or actresses where you like, go watch them. They
Wow.
are
Okay. Woo.
long
All right.
list. I go fit with you.
Let's see. Um, so for movies, I'm gonna plug the type of movies that I really love. There's this movie called Shithouse. It won Best Narrative at South by Southwest in 2020, I believe. This dude Cooper Rife. He was a senior in college. He made a short, tweeted it out to some producers, Jay Duplass, and was like, "Bet you're not gonna watch it." He watched it, and he was like, "Hey, I want to help fund a feature of this." And it's this like really beautiful coming of age story, just about this freshman in college trying to make friends and like get to know this girl and kind of navigate through whatever the shift is. It's so simple and it's so beautiful. And I think a lot of the beauty of it too is like you can tell that it's his first feature. Like there's some shots where the camera's moving and it like shouldn't be moving. Like it's a little unpolished, but it really adds to everything that it is. So I recommend that. I'd recommend After Sun if you haven't seen After Sun. It's another kind of like quiet, slow piece. That one feels a little bit like poetry. I think what's beautiful about that one is you get it's a memory, and it's cool because Charlotte Wells, who's the writer director, um she creates it in this way that you are kind of placed in the things that she saw when she was that age, and you just get like a shot. Paul Mescal plays her dad in it. You just get like this long shot of us watching him breathe as he's sleeping, and just like his chest rise and fall, and like the things that she picked up of like the small of somebody's back or like the way that the sunlight hit this window. We just as the audience just get to like sit and watch it, and it's really beautiful. I love it so much. So go see it. It's also it's so I sobbed. Those would be the movie recommendations. TV shows? I don't really know with TV shows. Um, I kind of just like rewatch a lot of stuff, if I'm being honest. Seinfeld, if you haven't seen Seinfeld.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Seinfeld. Um,
Because actually, there's a whole thing, isn't it? Because there's going to be generations coming up now who now need to rediscover this. That
yes,
it needs to
which
get
is
new life, and the new generations like, no, you need to watch Seinfeld. Go back on.
I really hope the
Learn.
new generations like it because it's so, so funny. I've been implementing a little bit of George recently because there's that episode where he's like, I've done my whole life has been so wrong. Every decision I've made has been wrong. So clearly I have to make the opposite decision in everything that I do. And in the whole episode, he just is the complete opposite of who George is, and it works so well. And recently I've been like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna do the thing I normally want to do and just like see what happens. And it works. Yeah, I don't really know what TV. I don't think I watch a whole lot of TV shows, truthfully. The Studio was great on Apple TV.
I'm going to make you
Um,
skip to theatre now.
Theater. Let's see if it is available at the National Theater. I think has their own streaming service. Because it's unfortunately not showing anywhere right now. But Vanya, you should you should see Vanya. Um, why can't I think of his name? No. The sexy priest from Fleabag, Andrew Scott.
Andrew Scott, yeah.
Andrew Scott. So it's a one-man show of Uncle Vanya, and he plays everybody, every character, and he is brilliant. He is phenomenal in it. And you can stream it online. You can go see it. You should see it. It is incredible. It was in New York, and I didn't get the chance to see it, but people I heard who saw it in New York and saw the National Theater version of it online said that he just got better, which is so crazy because it's so good already. It's so good. I think like any opportunity you get to see a one-person show where it isn't necessarily just like a monologue to the audience, where there's a whole story that they are playing multiple people, like Sarah Snook just did it on Broadway. I think go see it. It's incredible what some people can do. It's crazy.
And then, I mean, you kind of covered it because you mentioned Andrew Scott. Are there any other actors and actresses that for you are either inspirations or just I will see them open a paper bag because they're that good?
Oh, Jeremy Strong. Have you seen Succession? Did you watch?
Yes,
Yeah.
Jeremy Strong. Yep.
He's incredible. He like truly, I think, in my opinion, like he is the dude right now. He has got he's got that old like Daniel Day-Lewis, like that era of acting technique that has kind of like faded out a little bit because there's a lot of, negativity around the idea of method acting. But I think method is a little difficult to nail down, and I don't think it's personally don't think it's problematic as long as you're not like, oh, I'm being a dick because my character's a dick, like, whatever. As long as you're kind to people, do what you need to do to give it. And I think, I mean, earlier you mentioned you said something about suffering for the art. I think Jeremy Strong, like from my understanding, obviously I don't know the dude, I haven't talked to him, but from everything I've learned about him, all the interviews I've watched and read with him, he puts himself into these situations, into these headspaces, and suffers. And as a viewer, I'm so grateful for it because what he gives is just incredible. Like it is visceral. It's so good, and I don't think people are like doing that style as much anymore. And I think it's losing. We're losing that like that craft a little bit. And I think he's somebody who's still doing it and doing it so well.
You've been amazing.
Jen, you too. This has been
You're the
so.
best. I'm like, we have to
I
stop
love
now,
this.
but we could just sit and have a little mutual
I
appreciation party of how great we
I
are.
I could go for so long with you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so, so much. And also make sure like you keep in touch and tell us when stuff's out. And
Yeah,
yeah, you're
very much so.
amazing. Thank you.